In this video we're gonna set the animation as whenever we press A or D key it's going to run animation, okay, and it's playing idle animation we are when we are not pressing anything like that, okay. So without furthering delay, let's dive into this topic. Okay, so what we need to do, go to assets folder, okay, right click create folder, okay, name that folder to animation. We will place all of the animation into this animation folder, okay. Firstly we need to go to assets, then animation. So find the ideal one. So firstly what we're gonna do, we're gonna animate, so we need this animation tab. So if you can find the animation tab, just head over to window. In the top you can see, then general, okay, general, sorry, not general, then animation, then animation or control 6, and also the animator tab, okay. So if we're gonna drag the animation tab over here. So what we're gonna create, select the player, okay, select the player and create, okay, create. So what we're gonna create if idle animation first. So we need to head over to assets animation. We have created this. Firstly we need to go to assets, then animation. We have created this animation folder, so we will place all of the animation into this animation folder. Let's firstly create the ideal one, okay. So we're gonna create player, okay, player underscore idle, player underscore idle, okay. So what we need to do, we need to drag all of the frames, okay, all of the frames over in the animation, okay. So go to project tab, okay. From there, as you can see, I will have a link in the description of this player, of this spreadsheet, okay. So you can go and check that out. So firstly we're gonna go to idle, okay, idle, and we're gonna drag, okay, we're gonna drag, select, select all of them by holding down shift and left mouse button, okay, and drag the all of the frames into this, and you can play the animation. As you can see, okay, as you can see, this is pretty small. So what we need to do, select all of the animation, okay, all of the animation, uh, select pixel per unit to less, okay, like 16, so it will make the sprite larger, okay. And you have to select bilinear to point no filter, and then compression to none, and then hit apply. You will able to see, okay, you will able to see the sprite. As you can see, if we play, okay, if we select the player, as you can see, it's pretty much fast. So select like this, okay, and drag it like this, okay. I think it's good now, you can see, okay, you can see. So we also have to hit the record button to record this animation, okay, to record this. So hit record button and hit. So now it's captured the animation, okay. So second animation we will create the running. So if we head over to assets, okay, assets, then sunnyland, then player sprite, okay, we're gonna select the run, as you can see. So we also need to make, select all of the sprites of, okay, hold down shift and left mouse button and go to inspector, make pixel per unit to 16, okay, pixel per unit to 16, and hit apply, okay. If it doesn't have selected by point no filter, it's like bilinear, so you have to point no filter and then compression to none and then hit apply, okay. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna select the player, we're gonna create a new clip, okay, we're gonna create a new clip. We will call player, okay, player underscore, we will call this run, okay, player underscore run. So what we need to do, we need to drag all of the frames by hold down shift and left mouse button, drag it into this animation, okay, animation tab, okay, and play, okay, and play. As you can see, it's too much fast. So what we're gonna do, select like this, okay, and make something like 20 and play this. As you can see, it's now good. So hit the record button to record the animation and unhit. Now it's recorded. And we also need to make the jump one. So what are we gonna do, head over to jump one, okay, head over to jump one. So we're gonna select the first frame only, the first frame only. So what we're gonna do, select that and make pixel per unit to 16, okay, pixel per unit to 16, and bilinear to point no filter and compression to none, and then hit apply, okay, hit apply. So we're gonna select the player, okay, and we're gonna create a new clip which will be jump animation. So create new clip, okay, create new clip, select player underscore, call it jump. Okay, player underscore, call it jump, and hit enter. Okay, hit enter. So we're gonna drag this just the first frame. Okay, if we play, as you can see, okay, and hit the record button to record this animation. Okay, and now we have all of the animation. Okay, if we drag it the animation tab over here, if we go to animator, okay, as you can see, by default it's selected player idle. So when we start the game, the player idle animation will play. Okay, and we have player run animation and player jump animation, as you can see. Okay, if you can find the animator tab, you just have to go to window, okay, then animation, then animator, you can see. Okay, so what we're gonna do, if by default it will play the player ID animation if we start the game, as you can see. You can make any of them default state by right clicking on that and set player as a default state. Okay, but we're gonna leave it player idle animation will play when the game start. Okay, it's selected, as you can see, entry, and then it goes to player idle. Now if we play the game, we will able to see the player idle animation will play by default. Okay, uh, and what we need to do, I will explain. Okay, just wait for to compile. Okay, just wait for to compile. As you can see, player idle animation is playing, but as you can see, the sprite, okay, the sprite, it's not, but the box holiday haven't we set up good. So we going to select the player. Okay, select the player and go to animation. Okay, go to animation. If I select the player ideal one, as you can see, the center point, the sprite sheet get changed. So what we gonna do, we're gonna resize the as the sprite. So what we're gonna do, we need to head over to select the player first and go to box collider 2D and hit edit collider. So edit the collider as this sprite. Okay, as this sprite, we're gonna like this much. Okay, as the sprite. Okay, you have to resize that, and then unedit collider and play, select the player, overrides apply all, it will change in the prefab as well. So as you can see, we have an animator component which is responsible for animating the character. Okay, so we need so we gonna need this animator to switch animation. So firstly, if we play now, we will able to see the ideal animation will play, and the box collider, the size of box collider, it's now good. Okay, just wait for to compile. Just wait for to compile. As you can see, by default if we go to animator tab, as you can see, by default the player ideal animation is playing. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over to, whenever we press the A or D key. Okay, A or D key, we're gonna go over to player run state. Okay, player run state, and if we press the space key, we're gonna go over to jump state. Okay, we will play the jump animation and player run animation. So what we need to transition between these two states. Okay, so what in the left corner, in the left bottom, you can see parameter tab. Okay, parameter, as you can see. What we're gonna do, hit the plus icon. Okay, hit the plus icon, select the first one, float, and we will call this one run. Okay, we will call this one run. So what we're gonna do, if we head over to scripts once again, over here, input dot get axis horizontal checks what you are doing. Okay, if you pressing the A key, so the movement will be -1. Okay, and if you are pressing the D key, it will be +1, so the movement will be +1. If you press nothing, the input dot get axis horizontal will be 0, so the movement over here will be 0. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna right click on the player idle. Okay, right click on the player idle and make transition. Okay, transition, and select the player run. So we're gonna set a certain condition to go into player run animation. Whenever, so what we're gonna do, as you can see, has exit time. Basically it will play 90% of idle animation, then it will go to run animation. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna untick, we're gonna, as soon as we gonna is press we as soon as we press the A or D key, we're gonna go instantly player run state. So we need to untick this as exit time, okay. And we're not gonna wait transition duration, we're gonna set it to 0. And we need to select a condition, in which condition you want to go in player run animation, okay. So we have to hit the plus icon. So what we're gonna do, if the run over here, okay, if the run is one, if the run no, 1 is greater than zero point 0.1. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over to player run animation. We will control via in our script, okay. Whenever we press A or D key, we're gonna set this run parameter to 1. So it will go to player run instead. As we know, run will be greater than zero point 0.1, so it will go to player run instead, okay. Now if we play the game, okay, if we play the game, and whenever it's 0, okay, whenever the run is 0, it will play the idle animation, okay. And whenever we set the run as 1, okay, it gonna go to player run state. As we can see, 1 is greater than zero point 0.1. So if we select this one, okay, as you can see it's going to run animation, okay. As you can see it's going to run animation, but we also need to go back to player idle animation, okay. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna right click on the player run animation, okay, and make transition to player idle animation. So in the hit the arrow button, okay, hit the arrow button. As you can see his has exit time, but we're gonna go to instantly player idle animation, we're not gonna wait. So we have to untick this, okay. And we don't not gonna wait transition duration, so we're gonna set it to 0. So we need a condition to go back to player idle animation. We will set a condition. If that condition is true, we're gonna go to player idle animation. So what we need to do, we need to hit this plus icon. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna select less. Whenever we so we're gonna check zero point 0.1, okay. As you know, 0 is lesser than zero point 0.1 f, okay, zero point 0.1 f, okay. So we will go back to player idle animation, okay. We will go back to player idle animation. We're gonna set this to 0. If the run parameter becomes 0, okay, it will go back to player idle animation. If the run became 1, it will go to player run animation. As we know, whenever we set the run parameter to 1, it will be greater than zero point 0.1 f, as you can see over here, okay. And whenever we set the player run parameter as 0, which is, we know, which is lesser than zero point 0.1, okay, 0 is lesser than zero point 0.1. So we will go back to player idle animation. I hope it's clear to you. So now if we play, okay, if we play, okay, if we play, we will able to see, if the run is 0, 0, it will play the idle animation. As we know, run will be lesser than zero point 0.1. As we know, 0 is lesser than zero point 0.1. So that's why it's playing the idle animation. If we set the run parameter to 1, so it will go to player run instead. If we select this arrow, okay, whenever we set this one, as we know, 1 is greater than zero point 0.1 f, okay, zero point 0.1. So it will go to player run state. If we select this, as you can see, whenever we set the run parameter to 1, it going to player run animation. Whenever we set this to 0, okay, whenever we set the run parameter, 0, it's going back to idle animation, okay. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna control this run parameter via our code. So as you can see, if I select the player over there, as you can see, an animator component has been added. So we need this animator component. By getting reference of this, we can tweak this run parameter in the code, okay. So what we need this animator component. So head over to a script once again, okay. We will create empty animator component field. So we need to make it public to see in the inspector. Okay, public, we will call the type of this variable is animator or the component, and we have to name it. You can name. Okay, so we will call this animator, and control s. Okay, control s, and head over to player once again. Okay, player once again. You will able to see in the player field, player script field, we will able to see an animator empty field. So what we need to do, we need to drag this animator to that field, so we will have this animator link, so then we can tweak this run parameter. Okay, run parameter. So just wait for to compile. Okay, just wait for to compile. As you can see an animator empty field which says none. So what we need to do, we need to drag the animator to that field. Now we have link of this player animator. Now we can tweak this run parameter. Okay, so we need to head over to script again. So we're gonna do it update function, because we need to check every single frame. Okay, so that's why we are doing. So over here, as you can see, whenever we press a or d key, the movement change. Okay, if we press the d key, the movement will be 1. Okay, the movement will be 1. So what we gonna do, if the movement is 1, if the movement means we are pressing a d key, so what we gonna do, we're gonna go to player run animation. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to check if we need to use mathf.apps. Basically, I'm going to explain why. So basically, mathf.apps, okay, convert negative value to positive value. Let's suppose if you press, okay, if you press the a key, so the input get axis horizontal will be -1, so the movement will be -1. But -1, as you can see, okay, -1, if we head over to this transition, -1 will be lesser than 0.1f, which we know. If we pressing the a key, we should play the player run animation, as we know. If we press the a or d key, but it won't play, because -1 is lesser than, whenever we press the a key, the movement becomes -1. So as we know, -1 is lesser than 0.1. So we will go back to player idle animation. Okay, so we're not going to player run animation. So over there, this mathf.apps convert a negative value to positive value. Means if we are pressing the a key, -1 will be +1, but +1 is lesser than 0.1f. So if we select this transition, as we know, +1 is greater than 0.1, so it will go over to player run animation. Okay, so that's why we have to use this mathf.apps. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna check if it's is if it's greater than 0.1f. Okay, 0.1f. So what we gonna do, mathf.apps 0.1f, whenever we press the d key. Okay, d or a key. Okay, d or a key, this movement will be 1. Where if we press the a key, the movement will be -1. As you can see, input.get axis, if you press a key, this will be -1, so the movement over here will be -1. But we are using this function mathf.absolute, it will convert a negative value to positive value. So -1 will become +1. So as we know, plus 1 is greater than, +1 is greater than 0.1f. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over to animator. Okay, animator that dot set float. Okay, we have to set, you have to type the same name, as you can see over here. Over here run. Okay, over here run. So you have to type the same name as it is. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna set it to 1f. So if it's 1f, as we know, if it's the run over here becomes 1, it will go to player run state. Okay, player run state, as we know. So control s on your keyboard. So whenever we press the a or d key, the movement will be 1. Okay, 1 or -1. But this mathf.apps convert a negative value to positive value. Okay, so sorry, positive value. Okay, positive positive value, so the -1 will be 1. So if we press A or D key, this will be 1, so which we know which is greater than 0.1f. So we will go to player run state. Okay, whenever we press A or D key on the keyboard, so it will go to run state. As you can see, we are setting the run parameter. We are going to firstly animator, then we are setting the float, which is run, we are setting it to 1. So we will go to player run. Okay, whenever we press A or D key, control S on your keyboard and head over to Unity. Okay, whenever we press the A or D key, we will go over to run state. Okay, run state. So just wait for to compile. Okay, just wait for to compile and you will able to see that. Okay, and just wait for to compile. And we also need to go back to player idle animation. Okay, so if we hit play, okay, if we hit play, okay, if we hit play, we will able to see. Just wait for to compile or completing domain. Okay, so as you can see, whenever we press A or D key, it's the run parameter we are setting to 1. Okay, firstly we are getting to going to animator, then setting the float, and the float is run, we are setting it to 1. But when we not pressing anything like that, okay, when we not pressing anything like that, this input dot get axis becomes 0. Okay, whenever we not pressing anything A or D key, not pressing, so this over here input dot get axis will be 0, so the movement will be 0. Okay, movement will be 0. Okay, so what we gonna do, we, as you can see, we stuck in the player run state. We also need to go back to player idle animation. So what we need to set, we need to set this parameter. If we play, okay, if we play, just wait for that, I will explain the logic behind it. Just wait. Okay, just wait. So so just wait. So whenever I press A or D key, as you can see, we are playing the run animation, as you can see. Okay, but we are not going back to player idle animation, because we need to set this run parameter to 0, so it will go back to player idle animation. Okay, we need to set this run parameter to 0, so it will play the idle animation. As you can see, run, as you can see, if we set the run 0, so it will be lesser than 0.1f, which the condition is true. Okay, the condition is true. If we set this run parameter to 0, it will be lesser than 0.1f, so it will go back to player idle animation. As we know, 0 is lesser than 0.1f, the condition is true, so we will go back to player idle animation. So we need to set this to 0. Okay, so what we gonna do, we gonna do with movement. Okay, so we're gonna check over here, else if okay, mathf, okay, mathf dot apps, okay, mathf dot apps, we have to pass the movement. Okay, movement is lesser than 0.1 f, sorry, 0.1 f. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we are checking. Okay, mathf dot f's convert a positive negative value to positive when we press nothing. Okay, input dot get access horizontal becomes 0, so the movement over here becomes 0. And as we know, 0 is we are taking this mathf dot f function, that will convert -0 to 0. This always be 0. +0 means 0, as we know. So 0 is, as we know, lesser than 0.1f. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna set that run parameter to 0f. So we firstly need to go to animator, then set float. Okay, then set float, we need to type the parameter which is run, and we gonna set to 0, so it will go back to player idle animation. Okay, when we press nothing, this input dot get axis horizontal becomes 0, so the movement over here becomes 0. Okay, so 0, and we are taking this function mathf dot f, which convert -0 f to 0, +0. So we know this also, so +0 or 0, so which is lesser than 0.1 f. So what we are doing, we are going to animator. Okay, we are if if we are not pressing anything like A or D key, so the movement will be 0. Okay, over here it says if you press nothing, okay, input dot get access will be 0, the movement will be 0. So as we know, 0 is lesser than 0.1 f, so we are going to animator component and then setting the float is run as we know, and we are setting to 0. Okay, so it will go to player idle animation. Control S on your keyboard and head over to Unity. When we press nothing, so the movement will be 0. Okay, and if it's if the movement is 0.1 f, if lesser than 0.1 f, so what we are doing, we are setting this run parameter to 0. If this run parameter is 0, it will go back to player idle animation. Okay, it will play the idle animation. As we know, if we select the player, okay, select the player, select this arrow, okay, as we know, 0 is lesser than 0.1 f. Okay, 0 is lesser than 0.1 f, so that's why it will go to player idle animation. If we hit play, okay, if we hit play, we will able to see that. Okay, we will able to see that when we press nothing, the movement will be 0. Okay, so as we know, 0 is lesser than 0.1 f, so that's why we are setting run parameter to 0. So if I press, as you can see, whenever I the animation is too fast, we can make it slow. Okay, so as you can see, whenever I press it, it just going to play a run state. Whenever I press nothing, it's going to play a idle animation, because we are setting run parameter to 0. If it's 0, 0, as we know, if the run became 0, okay, we are 0, so this 0 we mean 0 is lesser than 0.1 f, as we know, so that's why it's going back to player idle animation. Okay, and whenever we press A or D key, the movement became 1. Okay, the movement became 1, so we which we know the movement is greater than zero point 0.1, 1 is greater than 0.1, so that's why we are setting run parameter to 1. Okay, we are setting run parameter to 1, so if the run parameter becomes 1, so it will go back to player run animation. I hope you get the logic. You got the idea what is happening. Okay, so if you are new to my channel, then subscribe it for future tutorials. Okay, okay, and if you want to support me, you can support me on patreon.com. Okay, and if you enjoyed this video, like this video and share it with your friends who just want to learn Unity in general. Okay, and lastly, thanks for watching this video. Okay, goodbye.